and that's what we're going to use to sink shit. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
You want me to start? You want to start?
Let's start it off. You go ahead.
All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the inaugural episode of the Canuckleheads podcast. My name is Justin. I'm joined by Mr. Wes, and we are two massive, lifelong, diehard Canucks fans, and we're going to come talk about Canucks hockey with you.
So, I'm really excited for this season.
Can't wait.
Very, very excited for this season. I think we have the talent to have a major season and potentially get to the playoffs, deep in the playoffs.
I think we're a playoff team. Last year was probably the most disappointing season that I remember. There have been some where we missed the playoffs and shit, but last year it sucked because just everything with COVID. The start of the year we weren't fun. We were supposed to be a fun team, at least, and we weren't.
Yeah, I feel like with PD down, it really just took the wind out of the sails for some of the boys, and
we got murdered by COVID.
Yeah.
Got murdered by the schedule.
Terrible schedule. Terrible schedule. So that was a big one for sure. That was a big hit. But I mean, we don't have any excuses this year. We have a full season.
And well, we'll see what happens with the PD and Q's contracts. But yeah,
I think they're going to get signed. It's just going to be. They're going to come late, but that's fine.
I think they did it on purpose to miss the bag skates.
Yeah, no, for sure. Stay fresh for the season. I'm not mad at that.
But before we really get rolling, I think we should introduce ourselves a little bit and talk about ourselves. Just so you know, we will talk about like current Canucks hockey and shit going on. So if you don't care about us, you can bounce around and skip to that later. I have been watching this team like as good as I could since like I was a kid, and then streaming didn't really become a big thing till I was kind of out of high school. And once streaming started, I was really trying to catch like 82 games every year. I'd say probably for like the last 6 or 7 years, I've caught at least like 65 games a year. There's always ones where you're on the road or something and you miss a game here and there, but yeah. I try and watch as many as I can. But really, I got really into it at like the height of the West Coast Express. I was watching that for a long time. That's kind of my earliest memories. I remember some of like the Linden era before, but not a ton, but that's kind of when I really kind of got obsessed with it. I grew up a Canucks fan, but Steve Yzerman is my favorite player, so I watched the Red Wings a lot too. But kind of once he retired, I was just basically all Canucks, and the Red Wings are boring now. So except they got Troy.
Troy Stetcher, that's our boy, man. And as far as I go, I grew up playing hockey, played hockey for 7 years, played pretty competitively, had very serious coaches growing up, so didn't watch a ton when I was young, but this guy over here got me really, really into the Canucks and been diehard ever since. We actually got to meet the team, and that was big for me, especially as a young guy coming up, and it definitely put the wind in my sails to get better, and yeah, it was awesome. Great experience. Glad that we got to meet the team, got to meet the Sedins, Marcus Naslin, got some sticks.
Yeah.
Roberto Luongo, it was big for us.
Ridiculous.
So, yeah, got to see some games live, and that just kind of reinforced the fact that we're big Canucks fans.
So what happened there, just to be perfectly honest, in 2007, I had lymphoma. I was 16 when I got diagnosed, I think. So I was young enough to get a wish from the Wish Foundation, and I wanted to go to Vancouver and meet the Canucks, and I could bring my mom, my sister, and Wes. So yeah, we got to go to 2 games. We saw back-to-back shutouts from Roberto Luongo, who the entire time we were in Vancouver didn't let in a goal. So right there, season tickets were available, just saying. And yeah, then we got to go to the locker room when we were kind of walking around in the guts of the arena. We turned a corner and the first person we saw was Trevor Linden, and that's the only time in my life I've ever been like completely starstruck. I couldn't believe that was happening, and yeah, like Kevin Bieksa said hi to us. It was Todd Bertuzzi's first game back that we were at too when he got traded to Anaheim.
And I remember for me that was a big one, just seeing Todd Bertuzzi as well. It was just an eye opener. I was just shocked.
Yeah, and it was both our first time being in Vancouver for a game, so to actually, when your team scores, it's the majority of the arena cheering was pretty awesome. Like we grew up in Alberta and Saskatchewan, so we'd go to like some Oilers games and stuff, but that's, not that fun when it's your hometown team in the home arena. Like it's just
It's a big deal.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
then last November, I was in Vancouver for the Sedin retirement game. We saw the retro skate jersey night.
And that was a heavy hitter game too.
Beat up Nashville 6-2. And then the game against Chicago when they retired the Sedin's jerseys, Jacob Markstrom shutout. So
big.
4 games in Vancouver, 3 shutouts. Decent record.
That's huge. And I miss Jacob Markstrom, but the Dem show's here.
Yeah.
He's here to stay, and I can't wait to see what he does this season, man. I think he's going to have an unreal season. He's going to establish himself as one of the best goalies in the league. I have high hopes for him, to say the least.
It'll be cool to see what he does now that he's the guy.
Yeah.
Like Halak's not going to
No.
be a 1A, 1B.
Demko's the man, and Halak's going to be a backup goaltender for him. I think that's the way to go, and Dem show he's going to put up huge numbers for us, I believe. So, and hopefully we can take down that shot percentage again, because we put Markstrom through it. We expected him to do a lot every night, and I hope our team gets a little bit wiser defensively and doesn't make Demko put up 40 saves a night.
It's kind of been the last 2 goalies we've really developed, Markstrom and Demko, have really been the trial by fire kind of, where it's just you go in net and you get 40 shots and see what you can do, and just you get better with so much practice that Markstrom turned into a beast, and Demko is right there too, if not better. Like
yeah, in that playoff series, man, he really showed his potential and showed his worth, like 90-something saves in a row. Like, that's
against the Vegas team where it wasn't even a game in Game 7. We played offense for like 3 minutes that game. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, he showed his potential, and I think he knows how to get there on a consistent basis now, and as long as he hits those spurts throughout the season, there's no reason why we shouldn't make it to the playoffs with the talent that we have on the front end.
And then, so one of the reasons, the main reason we wanted to start this is Wes and I, we're cousins, which we probably should have started off first. So, and we live in the same town. Our family is kind of in a different area. So anytime we go home for like Christmases or Thanksgiving or anything like that, we usually carpool, and we just wind up talking about the Canucks the entire time. And then Wes had the idea to start a podcast, and I'm all for it because I love talking about the Canucks, and it's I think we're doing it for the right reasons because we're just so interested in it, both of us. I'm more of I like looking at analytics and stuff, like, even sometimes I don't really understand them, I still like looking into them. Wes is more like the eye test guy, where he'll just watch the game and tell you what he thinks. So I think you get 2 different kind of views on it, which is nice. But we're just passionate about the team, and we want to give this a shot. It seems like a fun thing to do, and we're going to try and do weekly episodes. Every Monday is the plan, so you have something to look forward to at work.
So far, every Monday, and potentially streaming some games, watching live. I think that's a big part of this too, is sharing an interaction with people who want to watch with us as well.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, we have some stuff we've talked about. This isn't a permanent setup. This is kind of our test first run. We'll move around a little bit probably and change stuff up, but that's how any podcast goes. So
we will end up having a studio. This is just on the go right now, running and gunning because the season's about to start. So
yeah, and we just wanted to come in and give you some thoughts and kind of have a structure of how we want to have this episode go, and thought it was wise to let you know about us first a little bit too, just so you know we're not 2 random voices just yelling at you. Kind of know the personalities a little bit. So
get some background.
So the first kind of thing I want to talk about is the thing that's kind of interested me most in camp is the battle for the 4th line spot with Tyler Mott being out. I think right now it's kind of between 3 guys and then maybe a dark horse 4th. I think the way practice or scrimmages and training camp has gone, that it's Yona Gadjevich, Will Lockwood, DiGiuseppe, and then the dark horse I think could be that Danila Klimovich.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the big 3. Klimovich is a long shot because he just got drafted. He's just a kid.
But he's a big boy.
Yeah, I think it would be smart to send him to the minors and let him go.
Yeah, let him develop a bit.
But with Tyler Mott being hurt, I think, and Gadjevich looks good too. I guess he's lost some weight, looks quicker, and he's already a big guy anyway, so you don't have to worry about him being undersized from for losing weight.
Yeah.
It's his skating that was probably keeping him back a little bit, but you saw it with Bo. Like that was his knock his rookie season was, does he have the wheels to be a center? And then he's one of our best skaters on the team now after he kind of had a year in the show to figure it out. And Gadjevich got some experience late last year, so he's got an idea of what the speed of the league is, like more so than just watching it.
And he's looked good in camp thus far.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He goes to the front of the net, and that's kind of where he scored his goals. And
Position him in front of the net and just set him up.
And we don't really have too many guys like that. McEwen can do it, but Gadjevich is younger, maybe more potential. We'll see. I like Big Mac a lot, but
me too.
Just saying. And then Lockwood kind of seems like a copy and paste of Tyler Mott a little bit from what I hear. He's fast. He's got some skill. He's not scared. He can throw some hits. It's just a matter of getting him some experience and seeing if he can handle the fourth line minutes in the NHL.
And which one of them can handle the penalty kill like Tyler Mott can, because he's one of a kind for picking off passes and going end to end. He snipes a lot of bars. Not going to lie. He could hit net a little bit more, but I'm not knocking him. The guy's unreal on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
So.
No, Tyler Mott to me is one of basically your almost ideal fourth liner in the NHL right now. He's got wheels, he's got skill, enough skill, and he's a good penalty killer. He's a really good penalty killer.
Yeah.
And he's not a goon taking up a roster spot anymore.
Yeah, my biggest thing about Mott is he just picks off passes like nobody's business on the penalty kill, so I really like him for that.
I wish he didn't get hurt so often, but that's part of the game, especially when he penalty kill.
Exactly. So, moving up from that line, who do you think plays on the third line?
Ideally,
I want to see Pearson on the third line this year.
Too.
I do not want to see him with Bo Horvat. Love Pierce. It looks like he's doing good in training camp this far as well, but I want to see a new line mate for Bo Horvat just to potentially get him some more points this season.
Yeah, ideally, I'd like the third line to be Pierce, Dickinson, Podkolzin. But I was actually kind of thinking of this before, right? The thing with Hoglander being on the second line last year and going right on Bo's wing is Bo was still the defensive guy.
For sure.
Going up against the team's top lines, right? So
for sure.
If we're going to change that with Dickinson and he's going to be the more defensive-minded center, is it really smart to throw Podkolzin out there? Or is it, it kind of depends what Green wants to do, right? If you want to run top line against top line, then I like the Podkolzin. I kind of like Podkolzin on any line other than the first. I want the Lotto line to be a thing.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends how Green's going to run those lines.
For sure.
If he wants the third line to go up against the McDavids or the Matthewses.
No, 100%. So first line, obviously, we have JT Miller at center, Elias Pettersson, and Brock Besser on the wings.
Yeah. The Lotto line, you can't break it up. They're just good. They're one of the best lines in the league.
Wouldn't hate to see PD at center instead of JT and see JT on the wing. I'm sure they'll play around with that a little bit this season, but we'll see how it goes.
But PD usually, a lot of the times, especially that first year they were together, Miller would take a lot of the draws, and then they kind of switch, and PD would go play. Because just playing center, PD is better at it. Miller is a good face-offman, so we'll see if PD kind of improves there.
Yeah. Which
you got to let him play there to do that. So.
100%.
But the second line, I want Bo, Connor Garland, and Niels Hoglander. I think that would be that would be my ideal lineup.
That's exactly what I want to see on the second line. I think that gives Bo potential to score more and also just get the young boys rolling, get them some points on the board. And Connor Garland, I think he can do a lot, especially digging around in the corners just like Hoglander can, and you fish that puck out to Bo. He showed on the power play that he can pot goals really well from out front.
Yeah.
So.
And just the chemistry that Hoglander had with Bo, and I don't think he ever really... There were some times where, he's a rookie, so he's going to get in over his head a little bit at certain points, but I thought he was really good all year for the crazy year we had in general.
100%.
And I think he's not really going to miss a beat this year. I think he's going to hit the ground running like he did last year, where I think he scored in his first game against Edmonton. So, and then Garland, you brought him in to be a top six, so play him with Bo. I think he's very underrated because he plays in Arizona, or he played in Arizona. I think this will be a big eye-opener for the league for how good he is. I I've really only ever watched highlights or when he plays against the Canucks.
too.
I'm not a expert on Connor Garland,
No.
but hopefully we get to watch 82 games of him this year and he tears it up like I think he will.
And what I really liked to hear out of his mouth was in the OEL Garland interview with the Canucks, he basically went on to say that he really wants to prove Arizona wrong for basically not giving him the contract that he deserved. He was their best forward in my opinion. So he wants to basically rub it in their face and say, hey, you made a big mistake by not keeping me around and not giving me the contract that I deserved. And Vancouver was more than happy to give him that. So They gave him the opportunity, and I think he's going to go out there and really show his game and show that he can put up big points in the league.
I think he got him on a good deal too. I think towards the end of his deal, that's going to look like a real value contract.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Then on the blue line, we'll start with our third pairing. I would like to see Jack Rathbone. There's been a lot of talks that it's kind of Olli Juolevi's spot to lose because he has to go on waivers if you send him down, and he does have that tag of a 5th overall pick, right? So there's value to his name a little bit. I don't know if there's a ton of teams that it would be like. I'm sure there are teams that'll take a shot on him if he goes on waivers, but he's cheaper, right? If you send down Rathbone and then recall him, Rathbone's going to be more expensive, and we have some cap issues still trying to like get Petey and Hughes signed, so that's a big factor. So I think it should be Rathbone's, especially after the bag skate. Like Green said it today, like Olli Juolevi didn't do himself any favors. After he was done, he was laying in the corner.
I mean, Greener skates the boys hard. We're not going to sugarcoat that. He skates the boys hard. When Michael Furlan came in, he said that was the hardest practice of his life. Greener definitely puts the boys to the paces.
Which is good.
And I like when the guys know that, because then they come into camp taking it super serious. They come in shape, unlike Jake Virtanen. Sorry, I just had to throw that slight shot in there. And I think that Olli Juolevi maybe just didn't get the training that he wanted to get coming in.
He's been hurt a couple off seasons too, right?
Exactly.
So, he was healthy this off season, so you would want him to see come in great shape. But
potentially,
I don't know. Part of me wants that come in top form, but also this is kind of what that's for, right? You get bagged your first practice, so you're ready to go. Even Garland and OEL were both last in their groups too, but I imagine training camps in Arizona might be a little less intense than in Vancouver. And
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I believe they are.
Yeah, I think so too.
Green pushes a very intense practice.
Yeah, I don't think he fucks around when it comes to camp.
No, definitely not.
Which is, I think it's important you set the tone, and at this point you know it's coming, right? Bo is always in good shape.
Yep.
Besser is
always
good. Hoglander crushed it from what I hear, which last year would have been his first bag skate, first experience with Green.
I don't think Hog ever gets out of shape. From what I see him do, especially that kettlebell workout, all his stuff, he is always in shape, always ready to go, always hungry. Love to see it. He's a tone setter for the team, just like Bo and just like some of the other professionals on the team. So
I think definitely after this year he'll, if he's not already, be established as one of the core pieces. And
I believe so.
Yeah. But then, so defense is kind of interesting because we just have so many guys. The OEL Tucker Pullman pairing sounds like it's been really good as far as scrimmages go. So
which I'm really glad with what they did with our D-Corps, because in prior seasons we didn't have the depth that we have this season.
No.
We definitely have depth on D. And it's nice because if we get an injury, we're not really scrambling for guys. We have guys that have great potential and can fill the slot.
And there's a lot of different bodies in there now, right? You kind of always think of the Vancouver blue line as getting hurt because we'd have Edler and Tanev playing too many minutes for what they were asked, and they'd always get hurt. And
blocking more shots than anyone in the league as well, so that adds to injury.
So now I think maybe it's a little bit different. We don't really have too many guys that are injury prone, as far as guys who are returning. Hughes is fine, Myers is fine.
Yep.
So it'll be an interesting battle there, because we got Shen and Hammonic and Myers and Rathbone. I think our third pairing is gonna be Myers and Rathbone, or whoever makes it.
I'd like to
third
see
pairing. I think our second is OEL and Poolman.
Yeah.
And then the first is probably Hughes and Hammonic.
Yeah.
Depending on the Hammonic status, there's been all kinds of
Yeah.
I still don't know if he's actually in Vancouver or not, or if
Jim Benning and Travis Green said
they both said he was.
Yep, they said he's on his way in. There was lots of speculation on what was going on with that, but they said he's coming into Vancouver and he's going to be in camp. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have his potential D partner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that could be a big hit to the team. Hopefully Huggy gets his contract sorted out and he can get at least a couple days of camp in, but we'll see.
I do think both the contracts will be signed before the season starts.
I really hope so.
I would like them to sign soon so they can get some preseason. I'd like them both to hit the ground running.
Yep.
He always seems like he starts fast, but we've never seen him just. Well, I guess last year there wasn't any really preseasons or anything, and he kind of had a rough start. So.
But a lot of people haven't talked about this yet. I feel like that injury that he was out for a long time for last season was at the start of the season. I feel like he was already injured. That's why he wasn't to his potential. And then finally he just decided, hey, maybe I should sit this out until I get healthy, right? Which, maybe it got worse. Maybe it wasn't as bad while he was playing. Yeah. But I know these guys, especially on Vancouver, they like to keep their injuries under wraps. They don't like to talk about it. Like Brock Besser. The previous season, he did not have a great season, and he admitted, I was still going through bad back injuries,
and that's a tough one.
And especially with a guy who shoots the puck like he does. So I feel like maybe Petey was dealing with some stuff that he didn't talk about in the media, and maybe we're just going to see him on his revenge tour, like you said, this year.
It's an interesting theory.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do this season. I think he's going to prove a lot of doubters wrong, and it's like that list that you sent me on Instagram, saying that he was ranked number 3 out of the...
Oh, right, the free agents.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. He was easily the best player on that list, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm a smidge biased, not gonna lie, but I think by far he was the best player on that list, and he should be ranked number 1.
Well, it's a lot like how the NFL does their top 100 players every year, right? If you're the best player in the league, but you get hurt for the majority of the games, they just forget about you. So.
Yep, you get bumped down the list. I'm a big UFC guy as well. There's guys who don't fight for an extended amount of time, and you just drop off the list.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Which makes sense, right? It's a what have you done for me lately kind of league. But
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think Petey will be back with a vengeance. I think
100%.
He's so driven and determined that there's no way he's not going to be a top 5 player in the league at some point, and for a decent stretch of time too.
I believe so. And I watched another interview where 2 analysts were talking about he has to put up a 70-point season to be taken seriously, and I agree, his points do definitely have to be high, but even if he goes out there and puts up a 60-point season, I'm happy with that.
I don't think 70 points is out of the realm.
No, and I don't think that is either, but just give him some time. I think a 60-point season is a great benchmark for this season. I know he's going to break that. Obviously, Brock Besser just got 49 points in a very short season, and I think his ceiling is a little bit higher. Big Brock Besser fan. Don't get it twisted. But, I just think Petey, he just has a different eye for the game. I think that he has the potential to get more points.
Yeah, and he's still, figuring out the game a little bit, right? Your first rookie year, nobody really knows about you. Then there's tape on you, right? And guys can adjust, and then
the hacks and slashes come out, baby.
So we'll see what he's kind of picked up on, and because he's a smart guy. I think he's one of the smartest players in the league, and so analytical of his own game and ways to get better and find advantages in certain spots on the ice, and that's just how he thinks, and I think that's what his major edge is outside of just being insanely skilled, is he can break down his own game and improve it. He doesn't need coaches to do that, or I'm just as much as it helps. He's just so smart that
he's a guy that's hard on himself, and that's why I love the Vancouver Canucks, because I feel like a lot of our players have that mentality.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that you could say to me to make me better. It's all internal. Like, they know that they have to be better than they are, and they're going to accomplish it.
Yeah.
They have that mindset where it's like, we have no other option. We're making the playoffs this year, and I believe they're going to get it done and go far.
I do think they're a playoff team. So saying
100%.
that, let's go into some of our expectations for this season.
Let's do it.
I do think they're a playoff team, and you saw it in the bubble in Edmonton. Like, they can do some damage. Like, if Demko is rolling, they're a hard team to beat. If we're better defensively, that's, I always think of that series in Vegas. If Brock Besser scores that goal, like, we might win that one, right? And then we're up against Dallas. I think we could have beat Dallas. I know that it might sound biased again, right? But this is a Canucks podcast.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
And like Tampa might cave our heads in, but you never know, right? Like,
yeah.
And
anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that save that Leonard made on Besser, I think that just encapsulated his whole season, where it was kind of a bit of a disappointing season for Brock, and then he came back better, right? And I think he's going to be even better again this year. But yeah, I think we're a playoff team, and then see what happens from there.
And just like how Petey, I think he's going to have a great season this year. I believe Brock is going to be back in prime form. Like, I think he's just going to be sniping goals once again like he did previously. I have high hopes for him, and I got my little list over here, but I have the amount of goals I think he's going to score, and it's not a light number. So
yeah, the biggest thing with that is, like, if and when Petey signs, and hopefully everybody's healthy all year, we'll see if Brock has that shooter mentality. Because when Petey and him are both going, he kind of passes more often, which is fine because he's an underrated playmaker. But I'd like to see a more balanced attack between those two, right? Because they're both just one-shot snipers.
Yep.
And Brock kind of shies away from that when Petey's there. And like last year, right? He scored a lot, but Petey missed a lot of time. So.
Yeah, and the year prior to that, I feel like a lot of the reason that he was overpassing the puck was because of the injury. That was the season that he talked about dealing with the back injury, and I feel like that was a big part of that, right? But he didn't have the confidence to fire the puck with the power that he's used to firing it at, so the confidence just wasn't there, which is understandable.
But yeah, I want to see a healthy season with those guys and have Brock shoot more instead of just shy away, because he's
shoot that puck.
Yeah, he's a one-shot goal scorer in the league.
Yeah,
like no question.
No question.
And then as far as like, I think Bo is gonna have a really good offensive year. I think there'll be probably times where he gets thrown back against in like the tough matchups, just because that's kind of what Green's comfortable with, right? Like, we'll probably see him with Tanner Pearson for a bit
because he has a great two-way game.
Yeah, and then we'll but I do expect a big offensive year from Bo. Like, this is like every year could potentially be, but I think this is the year where he's going to set his career highs and really, really establish himself as a good offensive player.
Yeah.
Because he kind of gets the defensive player rap, but he's not really that.
No.
He's a solid two-way player, but you don't ever think of him as like a Selke kind of guy.
There's a reason why he's on the power play, right? Like, if he was just an all-defensive player, he wouldn't even touch the power play. They know his scoring ability, and I believe Connor Garland and Niels Höglander are the guys to get him the numbers that he deserves.
And I think that's a good line, because Bo can score in tight in front of the net. He's not scared to go there.
Set up that bumper play. He's there all day.
Yeah, and the other guys are like very intense, go get the puck kind of guys, and they're both good setup men too. Like Garland, I think, led the Coyotes in assists last year, and he was playing, with Clayton Keller and Phil Kessel, like two other guys that can shoot a puck. So.
Yeah, I don't think he's really going to have to battle too much for that top six position.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of got that on lock. They want to see him there, and I want to see him there.
Yeah. No, I think our first line is set, our second line is set, other than the wing.
That's the thing, though. Do they play Höglander on Bo's line? That's the big question.
Which I hope so.
I hope so, too. I think he did a great job last season, and he proved, like, I'm extremely hard to take the puck away from, and I can battle in the corner and get the puck back.
Yeah. And then, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And then a guy like Pearson, I think we'll see him there for stretches, because he's a very hot or cold player, right? Like, he's either going or he's not. And And just offensively, like he's always a solid player, but just as far as the numbers go and points, like he'll go for a stretch where he's just lighting it up. So I think when that happens, we might see him with Bo for a bit, or like Green will try and shake something up like he always does, and then.
Yeah, I just haven't liked what I've seen out of Tanner Pearson, especially last season. I know we had a terrible season. I know I can't just put a lot of that on him, especially. I just felt like he wasn't setting up plays in the offensive zone. I felt like he was just kind of ripping the puck from out way too far out, and he could have been trying to kind of bring it deeper into the zone and pass it out front, kind of try to set Bo up a little bit, and I just didn't see that. So that's why I kind of feel like he lost his spot on that line. I feel like he will play great with Dickinson at center, and you could possibly throw the young gun there on that line, Podkolzin, and you could see great things, especially out of Tanner.
Two good vets and guys that can still play. Like, I don't think Pearson is everyday second liner, but I think he's a really good third line player now.
100%. And a guy you could bump up to the second line if there's an injury.
And like he's got that playoff experience. He's won the cup. He's been like on some runs.
He's done it.
Not just a random vet that has just played in the league for a long time. I think he has a lot to teach to kids, which is nice. And Podkolzin, like if he's a two-way player, like he is kind of been described, like he'll fit right in on that line. Then I have no issues with him playing there and kind of learning the game. And then like if you need to swap him and Hogue like halfway through the season or something, like, and give him a run with Bo, I'm fine with that too, because I think Hoglander fits in wherever you want him. He's always gonna play his good, consistent game. But if Podkolzin is really figuring it out, I think he'll fit well with Bo too, which is nice, because then you can shake up the lines, or like if you gotta in the playoffs, if and when we get there, you can kind of resort things and make problems for the other team.
You can always make arrangements for sure. And that's what I like about Green. He's not scared to play around with the lines.
No.
He's always shown, like, I'm ready to mix it up. I'm ready to reward the players who play better. And that's why I think he's the perfect coach for this team.
The defensive pairing will be interesting, too. That outside of the fourth line, that's probably what I'm interested to see what happens there, too. Like, how does that shake out as far as pairing go? Like, Hughes is your number one guy, but who plays with him, right? Like, Shen's played with him. I don't think Shen is everyday defenseman on our team. He's probably your seventh guy when injuries come up, and he's a good seventh guy to have.
100%, and I love Luke Shen. Loved when he was on the team previously. I just feel like we have a little bit more offensive-minded players to put in those positions right now, and I feel like if there's an injury, he's a great slot in.
And he did fit well with Hughes too, right? Like
he stuck up for Hughes.
Yeah, and you just let him do his thing.
Yep.
And Hughes is so good with the puck, you don't need two puck movers.
But that's why Travis Hammonic is kind of the perfect guy to put on that line.
Yeah.
He's going to stick up for Hughes when need be, and he's also a decent skater, and I feel like that's why Chris Tanev and Hughes worked so well, is because Tanev really picked up his skating and started to skate his full potential when he played with Hughes. Yeah. I feel like it just upped his game, and I feel like Travis Hammonic kind of has to do the same thing. Your skating has to be on point when you play with Hughes.
Well, and I think they're both similar players. Like, Tanev is better defensively, but Hammonic is better offensively.
Yep.
And I think they're both kind of underrated in those categories. Like, Hammonic is an underrated offensive defenseman. Like, he's never going to put up, a 10-goal season or anything like that. No. But he can play offensive hockey. Like, he's done it in New York, and he was good at it for a good stretch of time, too. Like, that
he can set up plays, and when he hits to finish. He does not hit just to kind of lay one on the guy. No, he hits to bury you, and that's why I like Travis Hammonic.
Which is also a nice Alex Edler replacement.
Exactly, and he loves to bury guys randomly, but Travis Hammonic is kind of more consistent basis of laying big hits and making you pay when you come into our zone, or going into your zone even, along the boards right at the red line, loves to catch guys there. So
another player that I think we should talk about is Tyler Myers. I really don't know at this point what to expect from Mizey. He can play good for stretches too, and then he just kind of disappears for stretches. You just want to see a big guy like that be consistently good, especially defensively. This is Quinn Hughes' blue line, right? You have a nice second guy in OEL if he has a bounce back season. So Myers is kind of like your third guy, who you don't need him to put up a ton of points, because he can play the offensive game too, right? But you just want him to be like consistent and not have these like peaks where he's playing good and then stretches where he's not playing good. So that'll be an interesting season to see there, especially like for a guy you're paying $6 million who's probably going to be on your third pairing, you know.
And I just want to let the boys know, if we say the giraffe, we're referring to Tyler Myers.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know.
We kind of have our own nicknames for players. You'll learn them as we go, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so my zeal, it's interesting to see what will happen there. And then OEL. I think me and you are on the same page. I think he's going to have a bounce back season. Like, he's probably not going to be the guy he was when he was at his peak in Arizona, but he doesn't have to be that.
Nope.
Like, just bring your game back up to a good NHL defenseman is all you have to do.
Yep, and we're just looking for him to set guys up. Like, we have goal scorers up front.
Yeah.
We're not looking for a ton of goals. Like, yeah, obviously he's going to rip some clappers from the blue line, but we just need a guy who's going to set up our scorers, and he can definitely do that. I've seen him do it tons.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's going to have a great season, and it's only going to get better from here as the team bonds and becomes closer, and you're going to see more out of him, not what you've seen in the past 2 years out of him on Arizona.
I think he was in a really tough spot in Arizona, like
100%.
Very publicly wanting out, and the team wanting to get rid of him, right? And like being the captain and everything, and then just Arizona, just all they do is lose all the time, right? So that's got to be hard on you when you know most likely you're not making the playoffs. Even when they're bringing in like Kessel and players like that, right? Like that was a couple seasons ago, and look, now they're shipping everybody out because they're rebuilding again.
Yeah. Like,
that's got to be hard on a guy who's 30 and only played for that franchise and only been to the playoffs twice, I think.
Yeah.
So I do think he'll be refreshed in Vancouver, and I think we're a deeper team than the Coyotes.
100%.
And you got like the top end players like Petey and Brock that you're going to be passing to now and like playing with, and maybe getting some power play 2 time and things like that. And he's not the guy. He doesn't have to be the guy, right? Like, I think that's a big thing for him that'll help him out a lot.
And that's the thing. I don't feel like his goals will be that high, but I feel like his assists have the potential to be pretty up there.
Yeah. And OEL's put up some goals before. Like, I think he had 2 20-goal seasons in a row.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like Edler was kind of just slowly declining, and now I feel like OEL will just kind of pick his game back up when we need it, right?
It is
like
an upgrade.
He's the replacement for Edler, and I feel like it's a great replacement when it comes to points.
And I think Edler, not so slowly. I think he declined fairly rapidly at some point. Now it's just been slowly getting worse. But no disrespect to Edler.
We love him. We love Edler.
Yeah.
Don't take that wrong.
But yeah, he was just... I wish he would have scored in that last game, and I kind of wish he would have called it a career, right? Just score your 100th goal, retire a Canuck.
I can't remember who deflected that goal, like who
Brock.
deflected that shot, but instantly they said, "I'm sorry."
That was Besser.
And I love that he at least apologized, because Edler probably felt like that was going in, you mother effer. Like, I was about to get my 100th goal and set off in the sunset, the best Canucks defenseman.
That was a hell of a game, too. I don't remember who that was against, but that was Calgary. That was against the Flames. That was a big comeback. We were down, and we scored a couple in the third to tie it up and send it to OT. And that was the game tire. Yeah. Which the potential Edler goal, but Besser had other plans.
Yeah, he did. Professor.
Yeah, the professor, Brock Besser, sniping 101. So I think maybe we go over our goal predictions for
Let's do that. Now. I want to hear yours first, because I want to see
how
far off I am.
We'll go back and forth here.
Like I said, not like he said, not an analytics guy, but I feel like I have a pretty decent list here.
And just before we do this, one other thing I just wanted to let you know. So Green said today too he expects to play lots of St. Abbotsford tomorrow in the game. So so we're gonna start off. We're gonna go low to high here. So let's start with the defense. Okay, so we got Jack Rathbone, just because he's going to be on the third pairing, not because we think he's the worst defenseman on the team or anything. So these are just goals. So for Jack Rathbone, I got him at 4.
82 games?
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay. I've got him at 9 goals.
9?
I feel like as long as Green gives him ice time, which He rewards guys who play
yeah.
well. I think he'll be on the ice, and I think 9 is kind of high. I had to change it a couple times.
High.
I took it down from 13. That was aggressive.
Ooh.
That was aggressive, I understand. But I really like the kid. I think he has lots of potential, and I'd like to see him score 9 goals this season.
He was one of few bright spots on the team last
100%.
year. Him and Hogue.
Yeah.
I keep saying Hogue. Him and Hogg.
Hogg.
So let's do... So we're very different on Jack Rathbone. See, I think he can score.
He doesn't need to.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to score, and I understand that. I just feel like he has that in his repertoire, and I'd like to see it.
All right, so we'll go on to the draft. Tyler Myers.
I know we're going to be way off.
5.
Oh! 82 games.
Yeah.
Let's remember 82 games. He had a great season with Winnipeg once upon a time. I have him at 10.
See, I could see it. He's like Pierce, right? He's a
hot and
player.
cold.
Yeah.
Hot and cold, 100%.
I can see either of those.
Yep.
So we'll go to Travis Hammonic. 3.
Mine are quite a bit higher here. Hammer, I think he has the potential to score 7 goals this season.
Oh, man.
I just feel like his slap shot from the blue line can get through, and I feel like out of 82 games, it's not unreasonable to think he's going to get 7 goals.
Your Rathbone one is the only one where I would strongly disagree with you.
Yeah.
Myers is a little high, but you have points.
Yep, and I believe that the Vancouver Canucks are going to be a high-scoring
Oh,
team
yes,
this year.
I
That's
agree
why
with you.
my goals are really up there, because I feel like we have the potential to have a big season.
Yeah,
So.
no, I agree with that. So let's go to the new guy, OEL. You go first.
I know his stats were terrible last season, past 2 seasons, let's say, but I have him at 12 goals. That's a lot. I understand that's a lot. But once again, that big long stick, I just feel like he'll be able to get slap shots through the zone. Maybe a lot of those are deflected and become assists, but let's just say 12.
Okay, so OEL, I got him at 8. So we're not that far off.
Not that far off there. Okay.
Both, again, I can see both numbers. Like, I don't think you're...
Way out of the spectrum.
So we got Quinn, Wolverine, Hughes.
Yep.
11.
I'm at 13. We're really close
on
there.
That one, yeah.
And it's because, like we've all seen it, he can dance circles around guys. He can walk into the zone and score if he wants to.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the most offensive defenseman that we have.
Hands down. Probably ever had.
Yep, and I feel like he can score 13 goals.
See, and I also wouldn't be surprised if he has more than either of our totals. I could see him potting 20 one year, just being on the power play, and he can walk in from the blue line.
His skill is ridiculous, and he never takes hits because his skating's so good, so you never know.
All right, so we'll move on to the forwards. We didn't do, like, everybody because we don't know who's on the team. We just kind of have a general guideline. I think we're missing one forward. So, Brandon Sutter, you go first.
I have him at 9 goals. I've seen good things out of Sutter. It's kind of flashes of greatness, and I believe he can score 9.
I don't think you're too far off there. I have him at 7. I agree with you. I think in a reduced role, he's not going to put up a 50-goal season or anything like that. I don't think 9's ridiculous. He's got a hell of a shot.
Yeah.
So he can snipe when he wants
to. His backhands, too. He has backhands from hell.
And we saw him last year with the big hat trick. So.
Yep.
All right, Tyler Mott, which is a big one if he stays healthy. What do you got him at, Wes?
I've got him at 12 goals. I feel like if he stops hitting so many bars on the penalty kill, potentially he could turn those into goals. And hopefully I see 12 goals out of him.
I got him at 8.
Okay.
Just because
I'm not mad at that.
Just because with the injuries, I think he'll probably miss some games.
100%.
So. Let's go Vasily Podkolzin.
All right, Podkolzin, I'm sorry to put the pressure on you, bud, but I got you at 17 goals.
Ooh.
It's a hefty number, and it's more than Hogg's first season, but I just feel like you have the potential to do it, and we'll see if you can get it done at the NHL level.
I'm not mad at that. I can see it. I gave him 12. I was a little easier on him.
Yep.
I think he'll probably be more of an assist man for a little while.
Yep.
And we'll see.
I'm not mad at that.
We'll see how it goes his first year. And also a lot of it depends on his line too, right? And how many minutes he's playing. We'll see if he can earn Green's trust right away. Tanner Pearson.
I have Dickinson, but we'll go Pearson. Pearson, I was nice to you. Remember that. I gave you 18 goals for this season. and I really hope you go on a couple hot streaks and prove me right. Don't disappoint, please.
Pierce, a little less pressure on you, but I still got you down for 15.
Hey,
Pretty
there we
reasonable,
go,
I
there
think.
we go. That's not too far
Yeah.
off.
So now we'll do Jason Dickinson, the new guy in town.
Yep.
The another new guy in town.
Yep.
I got him at 12.
I got him at 15.
Not too far off.
That's reasonable.
I just think he's got to be up against really good competition. I don't know if he'll get much power play time on the second unit.
He won't. Yeah.
He'll probably be a penalty killer. So, I don't really know him that well. I haven't watched a ton of Stars hockey. They're kind of, I find them a little bit boring. Like, they have great defensemen, but I don't know, they just don't really interest me that much. So.
And that's the thing. I really only watch the highlights on him. I feel like he is a decent goal scorer, and I feel like he can put up 15 to 12 or. I think he's in that range.
Especially if our defense is playing well and we're breaking out pucks.
Yeah.
And we both think they're going to be an offensive team. So.
Yeah.
So I got Niels Hoglander, the Hog.
You go first.
I got him at 20.
I got him at 25.
Oh, 25.
25. I feel like I've seen some really goals where he probably shouldn't have scored, but he just found ways to make it happen.
Yeah, like the one that bent over the net.
Exactly.
Or
That's the exact goal I'm
yeah.
thinking of, and I just feel like he will make it happen no matter what. He's just that kind of a guy, and I got him at 25.
Ooh, that's a little high. I have trouble imagining that one, but
let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope. And with Hogg too, I don't think he's gonna have a sophomore slump. He just is a high motor guy. I think he's just gonna be going, and it's just gonna be a better year than last year.
And that number is based on him playing with Bo Horvat. If they put him down a line, I don't see that happening. But with Bo, 82 games this season, I can see him getting a lot more goals this season, but we'll see. And that's without Tanner Pearson on that line. I'm sorry, Tanner, to keep digging ya, but that's just how I feel.
All right, so then we got Connor Garland. I got him at 23.
I got him at 26. Yeah. We're only 3 goals off. I feel like Garland is just one of those guys who tries to make it happen as well. He tries to pot goals. He's always out in front of the net digging. I feel like that's a good number for him.
Yeah, I think he's more of an assist guy.
Yeah.
But I think being on a second line with some skilled players, he's going to get his goals too.
And that's the thing, maybe the goals aren't that high, but his assists will be up there because he'll be playing on a line where he can really dish.
I could see him potting 50 points at least.
Yeah, I could see that too.
So then we got our boy, Mr. Beaufort Williams-Korvat. You go first, Wes.
I've got 30 goals.
I thought about that. I gave him 27.
Yeah.
I thought about giving 30 because I do think he's going to have a good offensive season, but
100%.
That's kind of his average in a full season.
Yep, and I feel like without Tanner Pearson on that line, once again, sorry to dig ya, I just feel like
he's going to be free offensively.
100%. Yeah. He's going to have more opportunities, and he's going to get 30 goals.
Yeah, nothing against Pierce, but we do have better offensive players.
100%. And it's crazy too because Pearson has showed in camp that he can dish guys out in front of the net, and he's been doing that, and that's good on him, and he's hot and cold, we all know that. But I'd like to see a fresh lineup for Bo.
Yeah.
Like to see him get a career high.
And Pierce just seems like he fits good on the third line right now.
Yep.
Alright, so then I got JT Miller next. And I got Millsy at 26 goals.
27.
Oh, wow.
We're really close on that. And for JT Miller, I just feel like he's going to get most of his points dishing.
Yeah.
And he'll get some goals along the way. We've seen that he can snipe coming into the zone, especially around the hash marks. He likes to let pucks go.
Yeah.
I feel like he gets 27 goals.
We all remember that game winner against Buffalo, too. Yep. Popping the water bottle in the PD spot with the PD shot.
100%.
Speaking of PD, I got the alien Elias Pettersson. I got him at 30.
I got him at 35.
Ooh, that's high.
But
that's a little high.
But another guy where his assists could be pretty big.
Yeah.
35 goals isn't out of the stretch of imagination.
No, not at all.
Especially the way he shoots the puck, and especially because he's on the revenge tour, he's looking to prove people wrong. So I think he gets 35 goals, and he's got Brock Besser on the other side to dish the puck to and get his assists up there.
And it also takes the pressure off. That's one of the things that this team hasn't really done, I don't think, very well, is when PD's rolling and then he starts to get coverage, get Brock rolling, and then just, you have that balance. I don't think we've seen that yet either.
Nope.
But if I'm kind of a little more timid on PD just because I'm not sure the contract situation and everything. Yep. But 35 is not unreasonable.
Nope.
Little high for me, but not unreasonable.
Gotcha.
Now, the Professor, Brock Besser, I think we're going to be pretty different on this one.
We're going to be way off.
I got Brock at 33 goals.
Okay, we're not extremely off. I'm obviously extremely biased. But I got Brock at 40 goals.
I was going to say you had him at 40.
I feel like without the back injury, he's been shooting the puck a lot more confidently, and I feel like he's going to dust off some beautiful goals. 40 goals for me. Let's go, Brock.
See, and I can see it too. Like it does seem a little high, but again, like the formula is all there. The line mates are there. It's not ridiculous. I'm not laughing at that.
Nope.
I think this is the year him and Petey both crack 30. Bo might too, but we'll see.
And like I said, biased. Don't take that for don't set my words in stone. But I have confidence in my boy. He can pot goals. We all know that.
So these lists, I think, are definitely something that at the end of the year we should go back and look and see who.
I'm keeping this.
Yeah, and we'll see who is.
And I'm gonna see how close we are on each guy, and I'm gonna be like, all right.
I'm definitely a little more reserved. I think.
I had more confidence, but it's because I feel like the Vancouver Canucks are gonna have a great season. I feel like we can score goals. We're a very offensive-based team. And we can skate really fast, and we have that over a lot of teams. And without the matchups, like last season, our matchups were really crappy because of the way it was set up, right?
You're gonna play Connor
I was going to use other words there, but I'm being more reserved. I feel like we're going to have a great season.
I think so too, and I think this is a prime example of the different ways you and I view the game, right? Like I think mine is a lot more like just kind of based on what they've done and like as far as like what the analytics side says, and you're just like, this is what I think.
Yeah, that's 100% how it is, and that's why we think this is a great dynamic, because we both view the game from a different lens, and that's a good thing.
Yep. So I think that kind of sums up most of the things we want to talk about on the first episode here.
I think that was a great first epi.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to say is, so in the scrimmage today, Brady Keeper, who I'm not super familiar with, went down with a serious leg injury. Had to get stretchered off the ice, so we hope he recovers and continues his career and everything, and it's not as bad as it looked. And we're gonna. I'm not sure exactly how readily available the preseason games are gonna be, but I'm gonna try and watch tomorrow, and then I don't remember the schedule either. I think they play tomorrow and Monday, and so we'll keep track and we'll try and watch them, and then that's kind of the plan, right? Is talk about the games on the next podcast, and that's kind of how we'll do it. Like we'll obviously speak about just whatever's on our mind, but we'll cover games too. And
100%.
Yeah, I bought this just to keep track. I gotta take down notes when I watch hockey. So
100%.
Yeah. So I think that's it for episode 1 of the Canuckleheads podcast. If you liked it, let us know. Tell us what you think we could improve on. All that YouTuber shit that they say at the end of their videos. Do that. And thank you for listening.
See you guys.